lot of people kind of think of it as like the heavy metal of classical music.
It's tough, keeps us on our toes.
It's big and it's a lot of fun. It's devilish to count, extremely challenging.
The intensity of it.
Tremendously exciting and pretty scary.
And I'm very excited to play that.
I'm so excited to perform this on Saturday for everybody.
In the orchestra world, Stravinsky's ballet, The Rite of Spring, stands alone. The music is forceful, edgy, raw, but at the same time, it's glitteringly brilliant and seductive and utterly compelling. The music is so fresh it feels like it was written yesterday, but in fact it exploded on the scene 100 years ago. And it's no exaggeration to say that for composers and performers, the world has not been the same since. The echoes of Rite of Spring are around us everywhere today. It's hard to imagine 20th century film scores by John Williams or Bernard Herrmann without the music of Stravinsky that they borrowed from. Even rock and roll bands like Frank Zappa or Black Sabbath or Metallica were heavily influenced by this. This piece is quite simply one of the fundamental building blocks of all kinds of 20th century music. The premiere of the piece in 1913 is legendary. By the time the curtain went up on Nijinsky's choreography, the audience was booing and hissing, probably due as much to his radical choreography as to Stravinsky's music. The storyline portrays a primitive set of rituals, and Nijinsky did not soft pedal anything. This remains one of the great examples of art being both exciting and a little bit uncomfortable.
So one of the most stressful aspects of playing the opening solo in the Rite of Spring, in addition to the fact that it's written so high, is that in starting off the piece, we start all alone. The last couple of pages in the orchestra parts are so complicated, and that's one reason it's such an exciting piece to play, is there's so much energy with everybody concentrating so hard on getting just their part and how each of these parts interact with all the other parts. And when the whole thing comes together, it's just like ecstatic.
I feel the role of the E-flat clarinet in this particular work, especially the first half of this work, serves purpose sort of as an announcer. The E-flat clarinet, of course, is shrill, it speaks high, therefore it's going to garner attention when you hear it.
This is probably one of the most intense pieces in the orchestral repertoire for all instruments, and percussion is no different. There's no pretty sounds that I make anywhere in this piece. It's all very primal, and it's driven towards a really climatic finale where the dancer dances herself to death, and this is almost the heartbeat of the piece. A lot of times in music, I feel like my role is to wake up the guy who's fallen asleep in the back row. He has no chance to fall asleep anywhere in this piece.
This piece is rhythm, rhythm, rhythm.
I see you guys going chunk, chunk.
Pulse. It's one of the defining aspects of music, the way sound intersects with time. For us to make sense of a piece of music, we need a steady beat, a reference point. But for as long as music has been written, composers have pulled against that steady pulse. They speed it up, they slow it down, they stretch it in various ways. In the Rite of Spring, there are passages where Stravinsky takes it a step farther and systematically obliterates any sense of a steady beat, replacing it with an irregular pulse that lurches along unpredictably. The music still has a rhythmic groove, but it's not like any one that's been written before. One fascinating aspect of the Rite is that Stravinsky and Nijinsky developed their approach to modernism with a plot line of total primitivism. The first part of the ballet is devoted to a series of rituals depicting the arrival of spring. The second part of the piece describes the selection of one young girl as the chosen one, leading ultimately to the notorious sacrificial dance that ends the piece. As the final ritual in the celebration of spring, the maiden dances herself to death. As you can guess, there is nothing soothing about this final scene, which remains some of the most rhythmically complex music ever written. But that's one of the great breakthroughs of the Rite. It's some of the first music ever written that strives to be real rather than pretty. And in its realness, it retains an impact that is every bit as forceful today as it was 100 years ago.